You ever open your bank app, stare at your balance, and think, okay, where did it all go? Like, you know you got paid. You know you didn't buy anything crazy. Maybe a few meals out, a couple subscriptions, some small purchases. But somehow, you're back at $312.47. And then you set this goal, right? I'm gonna save $5,000. And it feels impossible. Not hard, not challenging, impossible. Meanwhile, you see people online casually talking about saving $50,000, investing $100,000, hitting six figures. And you're just sitting there like, how are they playing a completely different game than me? Look, if that's you, that's not because you're bad with money, it's because nobody explained this one thing. My name is Jean, and I spend way too much time thinking about how money actually works in real life. If you're someone who keeps trying to save but feels like you're stuck in a cycle of starting over every month, make sure to hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because today, I'm going to explain why your first $5,000 feels like climbing Mount Everest. But once you get to $50,000, it weirdly starts to feel easier. Part 1. The lie we've all been told. Here's the thing. We've been taught that saving money is just about discipline. Spend less than you earn. Cut back on coffee. Be more responsible. And look, those things matter. But that's not the real reason you're struggling. The real reason, you're fighting both math and psychology at the same time, and early on, both of them are working against you. Part 2. The math problem. Nobody talks about. Let's break this down with actual numbers. Let's say you make $2,000 a month after expenses, and you decide to save 10%. That's $200 per month. Sounds reasonable, right? Now do the math. $200 times 12 months equals $2,400 per year. That means it will take you over 2 years just to reach $5,000. 2 years, and that's assuming no emergencies, no unexpected expenses, no bad months. Which, let's be real, that never happens. So what actually happens? You save $800, then something breaks. You save $1,200, then a trip comes up. You hit $2,000, then life happens again, and suddenly you're back at $300. This is why it feels impossible. Because mathematically, progress is painfully slow at the beginning. Part 3. Now let's compare that to $50,000. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Let's say somehow you push through. You finally hit $5,000, then $10,000, then $20,000. At this point, something changes, because now your money can start working for you. Let's say you invest $20,000 and earn a modest 7% return. That's $1,400 per year, without you doing anything. Now compare that to your original savings rate. You were saving $2,400 per year manually. Now your money is doing more than half the work for you. When you reach $50,000, at 7%, that's $3,500 per year. That's like saving an extra $291 per month without lifting a finger. Here's what most people don't realize. The game changes completely once your money starts generating momentum. At the beginning, it's all you. Later, it's mostly your money. Part 4. The psychological trap. But honestly, the math is only half the problem. The bigger issue is psychological, because early saving feels like sacrifice with no reward, effort with no visible progress, discipline with no payoff, and your brain hates that. There's actually research from behavioral economics showing that humans are terrible at staying motivated when rewards are delayed. We're wired for immediate gratification, not save for 2 years and then maybe feel something. So what happens? You start strong, then slowly lose motivation, then quit. Not because you're lazy, but because your brain doesn't see progress fast enough to care. Part 5. Why $50,000 feels easier. Now you might be thinking, okay, but why does it feel easier later? 2 reasons. Reason number 1, visible progress speeds up. When you're starting from zero, saving $200 barely moves the needle. It feels invisible. But when you have $30,000, a $200 contribution plus market growth might turn into $500 to $1,000 swings. Now you feel progress. And when do you feel progress? You stay consistent. Reason number 2, your identity changes. This is huge. At $500 in savings, you feel like someone trying to save money. At $50,000, you feel like someone who has money. And that identity shift changes your behavior automatically. You spend more intentionally. Think long-term. Avoid dumb purchases. Not because you're forcing yourself, but because it doesn't align with who you are anymore. Part 6. The energy barrier of money. Think of saving like pushing a car. At the beginning, it's incredibly hard to get moving. You're pushing with everything you've got, and the car barely moves. But once it starts rolling, it takes way less effort to keep it going. That's exactly how money works. Your first $5,000 is you pushing the car. Your next $50,000 is you steering it. Part 7. The real reason you keep restarting. Look, let's be honest for a second. Most people don't fail because they can't save. They fail because they keep restarting. And every time you restart, you go back to zero momentum. It's like trying to push that car, then let it roll back down the hill. Over and over and over again. Part 8. The 3 rules to break through. Your first $5,000. So how do you actually fix this? Here are 3 things that will change everything. Rule number 1. Stop focusing on amount. Focus on consistency. Saving $200 perfectly every month beats saving $1,000 once and quitting. Because consistency builds momentum. Momentum builds results, and results build motivation. Rule number 2. Automate everything. Look, if saving depends on willpower, you've already lost. Set up automatic transfers the day you get paid, even if it's small, because what you remove from your decisions, you remove from your stress. Rule number 3. Create artificial wins. Remember how your brain needs progress, so give it progress. Break $5,000 into smaller goals. First $500, then $1,000, then $2,500. Celebrate each one. Not with spending, but with recognition. Because your brain needs to feel like you're winning. Part 9. Addressing the objection. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but what if I genuinely don't have enough income to save? That's a fair point. And yeah, income matters. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't have a savings problem. They have a cash flow awareness problem, meaning they don't actually know where their money is going. Studies have shown that people underestimate their spending by up to 20 to 30%. That's hundreds of dollars per month, just disappearing. So before you assume you can't save, track everything for 30 days. Don't judge yourself, just to see reality clearly. Part 10. The Turning Point Story. I remember this one point in my own journey where I had been trying to save for months, and I kept failing. Every time I got close to $1,000, something would happen, and I'd go right back down, and it felt like, no matter what I did, I just couldn't break through. But then something changed. Not my income, not my expenses, just my approach. I stopped trying to save what's left and started treating savings like a non-negotiable bill. First, before anything else, and slowly, painfully slowly, it started to stick. $500 became $1,000. $1,000 became $2,000. And once I crossed that threshold, everything got easier. Not because life got easier, but because momentum finally kicked in. Part 11. The hidden advantage of starting small. Here's what most people don't realize. Struggling with your first $5,000 is actually a good thing because it forces you to build discipline, understand your spending, develop systems so that when you do start making more money, you don't waste it, because making more money without discipline just makes you broke at a higher level. Part 12. The big insight. So if you take one thing from this video, it's this. Saving your first $5,000 isn't supposed to feel easy. It's supposed to feel slow, frustrating, even pointless at times, because you're building something invisible, momentum. And once that momentum exists, everything changes. Look, if you're still in that early stage right now, struggling to save, feeling stuck, restarting over and over again, you're not behind. You're just at the hardest part of the journey. And if you can push through this phase, you unlock a completely different financial reality, one where your money starts working with you instead of against you. If this video helped you see money differently, hit the subscribe button, because I break down how money actually works, not the generic advice you hear everywhere else. And comment below, $5,000 if you're working on your first $5,000, or $50,000 if you've already crossed that line. I read every single comment, and I want to see where you're at. And remember, the hardest part isn't making money, it's keeping it long enough for it to start working for you. I'll see you in the next one.